Let's talk about the King's coronation. So details of that have emerged over the weekend. And there is one thing on a lot of people's minds, obviously, who will be there. The guest list hasn't actually been revealed yet, but people are speculating about whether Prince Andrew will make an official appearance. Do you think he will? Do you think Charles will soften and think, well, it's my brother, he should be there, but obviously he's not an HRH anymore, so officially should he be there?
Well, it's a state occasion, but he's not a working member of the royal family anymore. So the family will be there, and I think if he goes, he should be in a private capacity. But interestingly, there was a poll in one of the newspapers yesterday, and I think well over half, 57%, of those that were asked do not want him to go at all. I think that Charles has already started to ease him back into the royal family. I think that Andrew was the Queen's favourite, and she obviously, according to the press, made promises to him before she died that he could wear his uniform more, that he could use his title for business. I mean, all of this is coming out now, but at the coronation, obviously, it's a hugely expensive, important event that's going to last, well, the Queen's one lasted 3 hours. This is going to last 2 hours. And at the end of the ceremony, they make a procession back to Buckingham Palace, and that's the big shot, isn't it, on the balcony, where you all see who's in, who's out.
And also they've talked about whether Prince Harry and Meghan will be there.
Well, they would not be on the balcony.
They wouldn't
for
be on
sure,
the balcony,
because
okay.
they're not working members of the royal family, although they have apparently been invited to the coronation. So Charles would not want Andrew to steal his thunder on the day. So my guess is, because he had Andrew at Sandringham at Christmas, that Andrew will be in the Abbey, but tucked behind a pillar.
So not in an official
Not stealing Charles's big moment when that crown goes on.
Like you said, public opinion very split on this. You know, a lot of people just say he was disgraced and he's had his HRH title taken away and he shouldn't be part of it, can he?
Yeah, he's not charged of anything.
No.
Yeah.
He's always denied it.
He's always
the
denied
claims.
it, but he's an embarrassment. Big.
Good to know how you feel, Janet. I think the royal family have made those steps, like Janet said, at Christmas, seeing him very much there with the family. It made me feel like it was a signal of forgiveness and olive branch. That kind of felt like that to me. So for me, I just felt, OK, well, this is where we're going. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was at the coronation, because I feel like those doors have already been opened. Whether he should be there or not is not my opinion to kind of express. I just feel like what he's done and the things that we've seen him involved in, surely we're trying to start a new chapter with Charles. Charles is trying to do things differently. He's engaging the public differently. He's dressing differently. He's kind of starting a new era of the royal family. So I think what he does and the decisions that he makes in terms of Prince Andrew will be seen as a signal for me.
But the bottom line, he is our spiritual leader, and including someone back into the family is a very Christian thing to do, although it might politically and constitutionally not go down well.
Well, he's not my spiritual leader,
I mean,
to make that clear.
and this has all come, this discussion about Prince Andrew has all come ahead of Ghislaine Maxwell, because she's given her first television interview that airs tonight, and it took place in the Florida prison where she's being held. Now, she's currently serving a 20-year sentence for helping sex offender Jeffrey Epstein abuse teenage girls, and she has been convicted. So in the eyes of the law, Ghislaine is guilty. So it does beg the question, is it right that she's been given a platform to talk, to be given this television interview? And when somebody said that this morning, like, is it right that she has that platform? I was like, oh, I actually don't know how I feel about that, because I'm quite intrigued to hear what she has to say, because although she's been convicted, she still claims that a lot of the things that she's been convicted for, she's innocent, that she didn't know half the time what he was doing. So I know a jury convicted her, the courts convicted her, but I am quite interested. So I probably will watch it. But I do feel slightly uncomfortable thinking...
You'll feel a little bit annoyed with yourself, a little bit sleazy afterwards.
A little bit kind of, should I actually be watching this? But if I'm honest, I'm quite intrigued to hear what she's got to say. Will you watch?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a weird one, because it has been such a public discussion, hasn't it? It's been going on for ages. And I'm one of those people, I love to watch true crime documentaries and things like that. But I feel like normally on those programmes, people are admitting that they have convicted the crime. So it's kind of almost easier to watch because I don't know whether or not you feel sorry for them. They're normally saying that they wish they hadn't have done it or that they think they deserve, you know, what they've been convicted of. But I feel like with her, because she's saying she's innocent, it makes it that little bit harder to watch because I think for the people, the victims involved and the victims' families, they're not going to want to sit and watch that. They're not going to want to hear her feel sorry
There's a choice, isn't there?
But people are going to start talking about it again.
As
and
we are,
people will talk to them about it. And that's what I mean. I think it just brings it all back up again. And they will definitely feel like she doesn't deserve to have a voice.
But it was such a massive story, still is, really, Kelly. I do think people are interested still to know what went on. Because she claims that that photograph that Prince Andrew has always said is faked, of him with his hand round Virginia, as she was, she's Giffray now, whatever she was then.
Virginia Roberts.
Yes, thank you. He's always said that he doesn't remember that moment.
Well,
he
she
doesn't
would
remember
say that, wouldn't
photograph
she?
taken, and she's saying the same. So it's now she's like corroborating his story. So would you watch? Do you think she should be allowed this platform to speak?
Well, I just because I know one of the women that was involved in that whole episode, and I've watched her difficulty, her struggle, the way that it's affected her whole life. So I find that whole story very difficult in terms of, you know, the emotional side and the scarring that has happened to so many women. But there have been other people that have been convicted and done their stories, like Charles Manson, for example. But for me, it's about what she profits from it.
Yes.
So, you know, fine, do the interview, but is she going to profit financially from selling her story? I guess that's my kind of concern there. And if she does, what do you then do with the money? Because at the end of the day, there are victims, whether she's convicted or not at this particular point in time, there are victims that are suffering at the moment who need to be thought about, whether, you know, your story is there to then move on to your next, you know, appeal or whatever the reason is for her. I think at the heart of it, we need to respect the victim.
But it's because it's all tied in, Janet, isn't it? Because Prince Andrew now, he's talking about he settled out of court with Virginia Giffray, and then they're now saying that he's preparing possibly. We know it's not.
Yeah, my heart goes out to all these women.
To fight
you know,
that again, and saying that could this be because he wants to be rehabilitated for the King's coronation, to be rehabilitated back into the royal family. So he spent so much money paying her off, essentially, not paying her off, but, you know, paying her out of court settlement, that he now might fight
rich and powerful people, and both Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell know a lot of incredibly rich and powerful people who they will hope will come to their aid in this situation. The whole reason why she's doing this interview is quite simple. She's desperate to get another appeal underway. She's got a new team of lawyers and she's got to find grounds for appeal. So she hopes that doing a television interview will somehow embellish her, create doubt about some of the stories, and create a situation that she can exploit to get out of jail. And quite frankly, telling me that she's in a jail with 308 people, has come out in the papers already. She's in a jail with 308 people and they got 8 toilets. And I say, tough.
Yeah. OK. Well, obviously, as we said, you can make your mind up whether you watch that interview or not. It is on tonight at 7:30.